When I back cut it, it'll make it look a lot thinner, but it'll still be pretty strong. Hey, you're moving, I don't even know it. Gotta tighten that up. Thought I did. Oh, that one was loose. So let's see. A couple of, if you wanted, you could get a 9 sweep. It's pretty radical. Same thing, but there's a 15 millimeter wide. You can see you'll get there, but it's going to take a while. And then here's the first chisel I ever bought, first gouge I ever bought, 720. And I did a lot of eagles with just this, doing all the roughing out. It can be done. And if you can't afford to buy a lot of tools, or if you want to start off inexpensively, this is how you can do your first eagle with one of those. And you'll definitely need a V-tool. It's probably the most important tool you'll buy. This is my favorite one. I use most of the time. I have some much bigger ones too, but I don't know, it's the one I go to for most of the stuff. And then you'll need, let's see, you'll need something. You could get away with a 216 or 220. This will help level everything off. Whoops! Well, when you drop them, it makes a big mess. Yeah, I screwed that one up. I'm gonna have to fix that. Don't drop your tools. And let's see, what else could you get? Maybe a 5 sweep or something a little less gentle, and a straight one. Which you don't need a carving chisel. If you want a straight chisel, you can just use a regular chisel, but it's much nicer if you have an actual carving chisel. Like here's a 120, and this thing cuts so nice. You can see this is end grain. It'll leave a shiny spot on the wood on the very end grain. It's nice and smooth. Sharpens real well because it's so thin. Regular woodworking chisel will, it's a little too thick. And you can get it really sharp, but not as good as one of these. All right. Now you can go back with a, can use a 3 or a 2 and just straighten that out. Right now you're just roughing stuff in. You can get brutal. You don't have to be very careful. When you start getting down close to the level you want to be, that's when you start taking your time, taking smaller chunks. And that's where if you've got, well, let's see, we'll use, there's 7 here, 725. You can go in by hand. And this is a fishtail style, which is nice because these you can get in the corners and stuff a lot. It's a little bit more versatile than just a straight gouge. It's a little small for what I'm doing here. I would actually use this by hand. And you can use the edge, it's almost straight. By twisting, you'll slice nice. Makes it cut a lot easier. A lot smoother without tearing out the wood as much. And you just go in and feel with your hands. And down here is about as thin as you want to get that. And it's gonna, this is all gonna go down. Let me straighten that out a little bit. Follow some of this line. Ooh, big chunk. Hit me right in the nose. So that's what the wing is shaped like. Kind of gets thin down here. This actually gets more complicated. The wing, this head goes behind the wing. There's actually a it's going to come up like this, and this wing will fit over the top of the neck a little bit. A lot easier to see as I do it. Let's see. When you see stuff like that happen, you got to stop quick, turn around. Or you could take a big chunk out, which at this point wouldn't be a catastrophe because you could just adjust the rest of the carving to wherever it bottomed out. Wood is not something you're going to find at Home Depot. You can in 4/4 size, which is actually by the time they get done machining it, you only got 3/4 of an inch, which is fine if you're doing something very small. But this, you're going to have to find a decent lumber yard. Most of these pieces, you can see I have a seam right here. You can buy stuff that's 20 inches wide, 15 inches wide. It's a little expensive. Sometimes it's a little less stable. I don't like gluing things up, but they've been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. And eventually the glue does fail, but that's a long time, hundreds and hundreds of years. And the glues they have today are much, much better than the animal hide glues they had before. I mean, they were good glues and you can get them apart, but heat it up and take the thing apart. But who's going to want to take one of these apart? Doesn't make any sense. No. Use the best glue you can. It'll last a lot longer than you're alive, or your kids, or their grandkids. You just got to prepare it right. Make sure the edges are nice and square and smooth and clean, straight. You can't expect to fill the wood with the glue. It's definitely not going to last. As you see, I'm getting closer where I want to be. I'm taking smaller and smaller pieces off, and it's coming out smoother because I'm not forcing so much off. I do have to turn around in some spots so and go from the opposite direction. You can see how smooth it gets. This is one of those cases where 90% of the work takes 10% of the time, and then the rest the last 10% is what takes 90% of the time. So we got this roughed out. We got it almost where it belongs. And then most of the rest stuff I do is going to be by hand, getting it smooth and ready for feathers. And the feathers are part of that 90% of the time and 10% of the work. And I dropped another one. Where'd it go? There it is. Normally I don't do that, but I'm trying to figure out this camera thing and not really paying close attention to what I'm doing. We'll get it smoothed out. So I'm not going to do much more of that wing until I get a lot of the other stuff to the levels I want it. In case there's some changes I have to make. The head really affects quite a bit of the wing design.